Swastiastu. Alright, good morning everyone, and also my lecturer, Mr. Wijaya. Alright, here I would like to present about the article. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is NENGAH Suediantari, and here I would like to present about the incorporating local culture in English teaching material for undergraduate students. Alright, for the next slide, I would like to present about the background of the study. I found some the important that I find in introduction. There are the teaching material is an integral part, a teaching and learning process, and the teaching material should also take into account student culture and background, for language in inspirited part of culture, and local literature. It's mean like the culture, like local culture can help the student to learn English, and it's make the student keep their culture. And then for the next is this falls around the importance of considering student culture background and prior knowledge when developing teaching materials, as well as the potential benefit in of incorporating local culture in English instruction. And also I found some the aims. It aims to address the need for culturally familiar contents in teaching material to enhance the learning process for the student. Alright, for the next slide, I would like to present about the literature review. The literature review here is considered with Rahman. Rahman says to be able to produce a good material, the teacher should always start from the standard. So uh, when we need to write the some material, it's mean like you should always start from the student before you make a good material for student. And also Florentino says like the local culture can be great help in teaching language in teaching English for non-native English speaker student. And then for the Geminis says this condition just permitted the researcher to develop totally new material which will help us encourage the student when to learning English. I think that's about the literature review. I move to the methodology. Actually, here the methodology not just like use the methodology for this, but the methodology right in the discussion. So I found the methodology here in discussion. And for the type of researcher that I found here is using the research development. The research development study using a simplified version of the ADDIE development model by Dick and Carey. The AD is analyze, design, and then develop, implement, and also the evaluate. The AD is a linear and often require one step to be finished and reviewed before the project move forward. And for the participant or the object of the study was developing from the English teaching material for the student of the Hinduism Ekaduism department of IHD and Denpasar. There are 82 students of the first semester from the first A Denpasar campus and first B at Denpasar campus. And then for the data instrument here, The data instrument using questionnaire, observation, and then interview. And also when developing the material, there were four phases of the development. The first is blueprint, and then draft reading, and then draft testing, and for the last is final production. I'll go to the next slide. Findings. The finding here, I found the blueprint. The blueprint is found. Alright, before that, the blueprint, the aims is observing the teaching learning process to identify the weakness. So I found the weakness here. The weakness here for number one is the subject matter is too forage. And then for the because the improvement started with the reading text is make like the student with culturally familiar text taken from previous source, and it will be the student will reduce the sense is foreignness. Then the researchers decide to use simply reading text taken from previous research, and it makes the subject matter is too forage. And then 88% of students find the material is very difficult because they using Indonesian language like before, and they learn English. It means like the material from that is difficult. And then the next is the material as boring, because when they present the material is not use presentation and then color. It's mean like the student says it is the material boring, and then to help that, the researchers decide use material which are culturally familiar for help student when learning English. And then also the researcher provide with culturally familiar reading text which will reduce the sense foreignness. And also for the material, because they said before the material boring, and the researcher found the use appealing colors and picture for more fun when they learn about the material. And then for the next slide, I would like to present about the table here. For the table here, the questionnaire, the data here from the questionnaire were triangulated through observation and also the interview. The results of the interview is presented in the following table. Like this here is have a 5 question, and for the answer is also 5 answer. There are strongly agree, neutral, and then disagree, and strongly agree. For the question number 1, is material more interesting than the existing material? Most of the student answer strongly agree. Most of that question, the student says they strongly agree, and some of the student agree, just answer agree, and then neutral just a little bit. So and disagree, just two people answer disagree, and strongly agree no answer. Alright, Here I would like to explain about the result. The majority of the students, like I said before, says they are strongly agree about the question the researcher give, and then they also love the picture include in the new course book. The student claim that the pictures and then colors and then language games and language activity in the material can help them to reduce their anxiety and stress level when learning the English. And then the above result can hardly I found two things here. For the first is that the student needs must be most vital factor in developing material because the material that directly correspondent with sets need to automatically be useful and meaningful for student. And with appropriate material, the student will be prompted to learn well because they realize it that they are learning not for the sake of exam or grades, but more for the mastery of skill that they need in the first place. Alright, for the seconds that I found here is that the student favorite the new material over the existing material due the culturally familiar materials. The familiar material is in line with the student prior knowledge, just helping the student is understand more about the new material. And it both researcher local cultures plays important roles in improving student improvement in English learning. Therefore, local culture should always be considered when developing English material because as we note here in the observation, the familiarity of the materials can enable the student to learn more and achieve more from that. And for the next slide is about the conclusion. Okay, based on the explanation before in this article, it can be concluded that incorporating the local cultural can help the student when they learn English, and because using the cultural materials, it can be reduced the heterogeneous natures of the material, and familiarity with the material reduce students' stress level. And we can conclude that is the mitigated. And for the result of this study is to support an assumption that culturally familiar materials help students when learns a foreign language. And here's in researcher to recommend for the other researchers also inquired the effectiveness of culturally familiar material compared to less culturally familiar material in teaching English in different level or learning. Alright, I think that's all about the I have present. I am so sorry if I have a mistake. I close with Paramasanti. Om Santi 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 Om.